Number 21. The Human Cannonball. If you've ever heard the phrase Human Cannonball before, it's referring to a man named Frank Cannonball Richards. This gigantic performer had a superhuman stomach that could withstand insane amounts of pain on a regular basis. Full-grown men would jump on his belly or else hit him in the stomach with a sledgehammer, but what you're about to see next was definitely his ultimate test of strength by far. Frank Richards made a living by taking 2 cannonballs to the gut a day. The fact that he could get shot point blank in the stomach by a cannon even once in his lifetime is amazing enough, but to think that he did this twice a day for years is nothing less than superhuman. Apparently, this never caused him any serious health complications either. Number 20. Mr. Hill. It's hard to tell whether this man is a science teacher or a superhero in disguise. He claims to be able to control fire with his mind, and then it looks like he actually makes good on his telekinetic pyro promise. He sets a piece of paper on fire and touches his forehead while deeply concentrating. This is what happens next in front of the entire class.
He's rubbing his forehead to make it burn faster.
Oh my god, I'm scared.
Now, I can't personally tell if this is fake or real, and neither can the YouTubers in the comments section of the video. If this is fake, then how could he have known what direction the paper was going to lean towards? If you don't think this is telekinesis, then I'd like to hear your thoughts on how he managed to do this. Number 19. The Boiler. As I've said before, you don't have to be a crime fighter in order to have superpowers. There's a chef in New Delhi who fries fish in a way that no one else in India can imitate because it would cause them serious injury. The food here reportedly tastes great, and people come to this restaurant from all over the world, but watching him cook might make some people lose their appetites. This is the only place where you can find a chef who is willing to do this.
Due to his ability to dip his hands into boiling hot oil while frying his fish. According to Chef Kumar, invincible hands run in his family.
Somehow, he is able to submerge his hand in the crackling and sizzling oil without so much as flinching. He says that he discovered this power as a young boy when he stuck his hand in the fryer out of curiosity and was surprised to experience no pain at all. It seems as though this skill runs in the family, as he says that his father could do the same thing. Businessmen as far away as England have offered to help him open up a restaurant in their home countries, but he's always refused their offers. If you want to see his powers in action, you're going to have to go to the street markets of India and stand in line for yourself. Number 18. The Glass Eater. There's a man in Algeria who can eat things that would easily hurt ordinary people like you and me. His name is Alim Salim, and he has developed a diet that consists of sharp objects like full-size light bulbs and twisted shards of metal. If you don't believe me, take a look at this.
Do not try this at home. Eating glass could cut open the stomach, intestines, and the throat as it passes through the body.
A stunned crowd watches as Alim rams jagged pieces of glass down his throat over and over again. Eating all of this glass should be ripping his insides apart, but instead he just stands there with a confident smirk. He wraps a long fluorescent bulb in newspaper to protect his hands, and then opens his mouth wide. There's huge chunks of glass all around his teeth and under his tongue, but there's nothing red. All of the glass material is gone within a few gulps. I have no idea how he is still alive, but it's clearly just another normal day in the life of a superhuman glass eater. Number 17. Magnet Man. There's a man in India who some consider to be the real-life version of Magneto. Áron was hammering nails into a table when he noticed that some of the nails had mysteriously gone missing. After looking all over, he finally found them at the last place he'd ever expect, attached to his body. That was the unforgettable day that he discovered he could do things like this. Nobody knows how he is able to do this, not even Áron. All anyone knows is that he is able to attract magnetic objects with his skin and keep them there for as long as he wants. What's even more strange is that Áron was 37 years old before he discovered this puzzling ability. Imagine spending the majority of your life completely unaware that you have a superpower and then stumbling across it one day at random. It really makes you wonder who else is out there waiting to discover their own true powers one day. Number 16. Shockproof Man. A man in India is able to withstand explosive currents of electricity without feeling a thing. Here he is tapping 2 live wires with his fingers to power a light bulb, withstanding amounts of electricity that normally would be enough to blow somebody off of their feet, but it's no problem for this unnamed handyman. And what's even more amazing is that this is only but a small demonstration of his power. Now we see the same man perched high atop a live power line. He puts his hands and feet on the live wires. A light bulb is turned on beside him to demonstrate that the power is on and that this is not fake. Not only is he somehow avoiding being fried to a crisp, but he's also smiling. He's done this so many times before that it's just a joke to him at this point. The rest of the world, however, is too amazed to share a laugh. Number 15. The Flyer. This footage was taken somewhere in India and doesn't have a lot of backstory. A man and a woman are enjoying a sunny day and posing for a video when suddenly something interrupts their recording from high above. Everyone starts to gasp and shriek as what appears to be a flying person circles around them a few times before disappearing out of sight. Just when the encounter seems to be over, the superhuman comes back for another pass. This video looks like it could be CGI, but then again, everyone puts on a pretty good performance, so it's hard to tell for sure. Number 14. Super Regeneration. Shaolin monks are well known for their superhuman combat skills, but if you somehow manage to hurt them, they can usually regenerate themselves back to full health. This video is clear evidence of their healing superpowers. A man is visiting a Shaolin temple to learn more about their ancient culture and customs, so they put him to work with a simple striking test. The goal of this test is to hit a board with your palm in the back of your hand, alternating back and forth over and over for as many times as you can stand. It's a lot harder than it seems.
Again. That's a normal skin tone. That's their skin after a little bit of our Qigong training.
The visitor gets in a few hard strikes before his hand starts to swell up and turn red from the broken vessels inside. It doesn't look like he will be able to continue, but just when it seems like his training days are over, the monk grabs his hand and performs his miraculous feat.
Yeah, he's okay. He's okay. I just don't want to hurt it for the fight, you know? Yeah. Wow. He just took the swelling out completely.
Just a moment ago, his hand was too swollen and painful to continue, but the magical monk has somehow taken all of the swelling and pain away just by rubbing his hands together and redirecting his energy over the injured area. Somehow he was able to remove 1/8 of an inch of swelling in just seconds. The visitor's hand feels fine now, and he vows to fight harder. Number 13. The Ripper. Have you ever seen someone who is way stronger than they seemed? That's the exact case with Dennis Rogers, the man who can bend or rip almost anything in half. He's pretty average looking in terms of height and weight, but look at what he can do with his hammer using only his bare hands.
To a superhuman level. This is impossible.
Make no mistake about it, that was a genuine steel hammer that he folded over twice. Dennis figured out how strong he was at a very young age. One day, he and his brother heard about a full-grown man who could rip an entire deck of cards in half all by himself on the radio, and they decided to do the same. His brother couldn't do it, of course, but much to their amazement, Dennis somehow managed to rip all 52 cards in half on the first try. Ever since then, he just knew that he was different from everyone else. Scientists have measured Dennis's strength, and they couldn't believe the results. According to their findings, Dennis doesn't constantly push down on the hammer, but rather attacks it in quick, concentrated bursts of extreme strength. He is basically like the Incredible Hulk, but fortunately for the rest of the world, he doesn't seem to share the same bad temper. Number 12. The Final Fall. This video was uploaded almost 10 years ago and is still getting plenty of views every month. It begins with a man standing on the ledge of a dizzying 30-story drop. He thinks it over for a moment and then spreads out his arms and lets gravity take over. He hits the ground face down with a sickening splat and doesn't move. The cameraman walks up to him. Then, much to his dismay, the man begins to stir. They don't say a word to each other as he staggers away, leaving only a round stain on the curb. The video ends before we get a chance to learn what happens afterwards, or even if they knew each other. This video could just be edited, but if it is real, then I wonder how this man discovered he could survive a fall from such heights, or if getting up was a shock to him as well. Number 11. The Flash. This street footage was taken a year ago at a busy intersection. 4 vehicles are waiting for a green light when suddenly something incredibly fast goes streaking by and makes a sharp left past all of them. Slow the footage down and you can see that this is absolutely not just some fast-moving vehicle. In fact, it doesn't even really look like anything from this world. All the camera picks up is a bright white object with an even smaller light streak in its wake. It looks like something traveling at superhuman speeds. Of course, another explanation is CGI. Everyone gets out of their cars to try and get a better look, but whatever it is, it's already out of sight and probably in the next town over. Number 10. The Golden Throat. You might want to turn your sound down for this next clip. Screaming into a wine glass can hardly be considered a superpower, but it is when you're Chase, the boy with a supersonic voice, when he first tries to demonstrate his power. It isn't very impressive. He takes a break and then goes back at it for another failed attempt. Just when it looks like he is about to give up, he gets a sudden burst of strength and does this.
Mom, I broke it! You did not. No. Look it! I did!
The glass cracks in half and Chase shouts excitedly for his mother. Both she and his sister are amazed that this voice was powerful enough to shatter glass. Who knows what he'll be able to do with his voice if he continues training. Number 8. The Floater. If this video is real, then it defies modern physics. This person appears to be suspended in mid-air, with one hand on the wall to keep them from floating away. Dozens of spectators gather in the street below, with their phones out to witness this amazing event. Watch the full video, and you'll see that his shoes are definitely dangling in the air. So there's not a clear platform under his feet or anything like that. I can't see any wires attached to his arms or shoulders, and notice how he is not swaying at all. Some of the comments in the video suggest that he is using a fake hand, but even assuming that's the case, the strength he would need to keep his body in that position for that long is superhuman. So the question remains, is this just a clever street magician, or is this a man who is actually demonstrating his superpowers for the world to see? Maybe it is a legitimate superpower and mankind has just grown too skeptical to believe that such an act is possible. It's hard to say for sure. Number 7. Super dance moves. Some people use their superpowers to make a living, and others use them for recreation. This twin brother, known as Flex Boy, just wants to dance like only a superhuman can. This video starts off with some extremely advanced choreography, but then he busts this impossible move out of nowhere. How is this possible? He somehow twists his torso in a near 360-degree rotation without dropping to the ground and rolling in agony. And just when you think he is done showing off, his brother comes in and gives him a twist of his own. I'm sorry, but how is he not hurt from this maneuver? His brother just clearly broke his neck and spun his head around like an owl. There's no way he should be able to walk after that, let alone stick his tongue out and continue to dance like nothing's happened. This video does not look like CGI at all, and when you listen to everyone's reaction in the room, it seems very legit. Number 6. The Electric Man. There's a man in Serbia named Biba Struja who can harness the powers of electricity and bend it to his will. Every day he uses a homemade generator to grow stronger and master his craft, shocking himself with up to 20,000 volts and showing absolutely no signs of pain or injury. If you want to see a demonstration of this man's might, then watch what he does to this hot dog simply by holding onto 2 forks while connected to a 220 volt battery. You don't have to be an electrician to understand that he should be on the floor screaming instead of calmly looking you in the eyes. Biba even trained himself to hold a charge within his body long after he has let go of a power source. While he's in this supercharged state, he can turn on a fluorescent light bulb just by touching it, and if you touch him with a swab of alcohol, it bursts into flames. He discovered this remarkable super ability at random one rainy day while mending a broken fence. The welding equipment he and his friend were using was very old and would give a nasty shock to the operator if it got wet. His friends got the machine wet from the rain, and a terrible shock dropped him straight to the floor. When Biba picked up the equipment, however, he found that he could use it in the rain without problem. His superpowers were again confirmed later on in life when he was able to grab a live 600-volt transformer without injury. That should be the end of him. Prior to these 2 electrifying encounters, he never knew that his body had any of these amazing properties. Number 5. The Mega Jump. This video comes to us from a train station in Moscow, Russia, where an anonymous man is about to risk his very life just to prove his powers are real. It starts with a zoomed in shot of his sneakers as he laces them up and prepares to execute this brutally terrifying stunt. A train pulls up to him from behind and stops, but he's more interested in the one that's speeding towards him a little further ahead. He takes a few steps and then sprints off the edge of the platform, directly in its path. He tucks into himself and performs an amazing front flip as the train narrowly misses him, blaring its horn all the while. The daredevil keeps his identity concealed with a scarf as he quickly escapes. Nobody has figured out who he was yet. Some people say that this video is fake based on the train conductor's lack of a reaction. You can see the conductor through the window in the final frames after the jump if you slow the video down. He might not be making much of a face, but when you consider how fast everything happens, then it's pretty obvious that the conductor was too stunned for his surprise to even register. Number 4. The Box. This YouTuber gets straight to the point by putting both feet into a box and grabbing both sides. He pulls it over his head, seemingly disappearing deeper inside as it floats in midair. What's especially strange is that you can see the bottom of the box the entire time, and it clearly appears to be closed. If this was done using computer effects or a green screen, then it was very well done. Otherwise, this person can apparently change their shape and levitate at will. Number 3. Superhero MMA. This large and muscular MMA fighter is about to take on an entire Russian special ops team one by one. As hard as they try, nobody can seem to take him off of his feet. He swats them away like flies within seconds of their approach. Up until this point, the man has simply displayed the skills of an exceptional fighter, but nothing truly superhuman. But look what happens when he tells one of the Special Forces soldiers to climb on his back and choke him out. The soldier puts him in a tight chokehold and squeezes as hard as he can. It has absolutely no effect on the fighter, as the soldier simply gives up. This is clearly not staged, and yet there's no way that this could have happened. The man's endurance is clearly superhuman. Number 2. Morgan's Mind. This video begins with a Pepsi bottle skittering across the table under the watchful gaze of a smiling child. Her name is Morgan, and according to her, it's not very difficult at all to move things with your mind. The cameraman is impressed with her psychic talent and wants to record it for a second time, so he challenges her to do it again.
Move this one. I moved it a little.
Morgan focuses her attention on the empty bottle and gently moves it again. She knows that she can do better than that though, so she tries again, harder this time.
Whoa!
The bottle flies off the table and tumbles to the ground. The three kids are laughing in disbelief, while the nearby adults miss everything. She moves the bottle with her mind a total of 3 or 4 times before she says that her brain is starting to hurt, so she can't do it anymore. She also claims to be able to make smoke come out of her mouth, but if that was ever recorded, then they must have never uploaded the video. I'm honestly not sure if this was real or not. Some of the YouTubers say that one of them is moving the table, but I've watched this multiple times and I haven't seen this happen. Plus, I think an empty water bottle would fall over if someone moved the table like that. Leave a timestamp in the comments if you think you can see the table move so that I can see. Also, if you can think of a different way to fake this video, then please tell me how. Before we get to number 1, if you've ever been curious as to what I look like in real life, then follow me on Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT with underscores instead of spaces. I also have a Twitter at YT_chills where I post video updates. I'd really appreciate it if you followed me, and feel free to send me a DM if you have any questions or suggestions. If you'd like to see more of these videos in the future, then hit that subscribe button because I upload a new video every Thursday. Number 1. The Airsoft Stopper. Sometimes a superpower can be as simple as having extraordinary heightened reflexes and short reaction times. Take this samurai master named Isao Machi for example. He doesn't look much different than any other katana-wielding warrior at first glance. That is, of course, until you shoot an airsoft at him and he pulls this move off.
I heard it, but I didn't see it.
Obviously, this was too fast for you or I to see, so let's slow it down and take a closer look using a special camera. The man aims at Isao, pulls the trigger, and then... he actually deflects the pellet with his sword, and this isn't just luck either. He apparently does things like this all of the time whenever he wants. As one California State University professor puts it, this sword master is, quote, processing at an entirely different sensory level. In other words, he is not seeing it so much as sensing it. He is, in effect, somehow reacting before he even hears the airsoft being fired, though no one except for him will ever truly understand how. Thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe because I upload a new video every Thursday. Or if you're still not convinced, here are some of my other videos that I think you'd like. Enjoy!